up? What's up, everybody? This is your girl, Sayna Wynn, and I'm back, and I'm happy to be here. And I have another awesome episode of Cosigns and Tangents with you. And today I have an amazing guest that I just saw on TikTok and immediately ran into his DMs and asked if I could talk to him about mental health and astrophysics and everything that we could possibly learn about our guest today, Dakotah. So Dakotah, go ahead and just introduce yourself, and we'll just get into it. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Saint. I'm super happy to be doing this podcast with you. So I'm Dakotah Tyler. I am a PhD student at UCLA. I'm doing my PhD in astronomy and astrophysics. So I study what are called exoplanets, and these are just planets that orbit other stars. So you look up at night, you see all the stars. Most of those stars have planets, and I study those other planets. And I actually got into astronomy and astrophysics in a really non-traditional way. I played football at the University of Kentucky, and after I graduated and was looking for like a new career path, I was trying to find something that I was very passionate and interested in to kind of propel me forward. That's just something that I need in my life. I think that it's something that most people need, though, like that sense of purpose and sort of a strong desire for something that you're pursuing. And for me, it ended up being astronomy. And that meant that I needed to go back to like community college and learn a bunch of math that I never learned in high school. And it's been a long path to get where I'm at now, but I'm loving it. And I'm also very passionate about sharing that knowledge and information with everybody else and with people that may not come into contact with that sort of content on a daily basis.
And that's true, and that's why when I saw you, because like the only other astrophysicist that looks like us is like Neil deGrasse Tyson that I know of. There's probably plenty out there, but not a lot of representation. And as we know, representation really truly matters.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was telling my friends and my friends that I would get a chance to interview, and I sent them your page, one of my friends was like, "I like that he like rocks the gold, his grills when he's doing it."
Yeah.
And I love that. It's like you're coming out as authentically as yourself, and
Uh-huh.
you're making sure that we can feel that relatability because
Yeah.
because we sometimes we feel like astrophysics is just as far as the stars are. So,
Mhm. Yeah,
uh,
and that's funny. One of the most common comments that I'll get on my videos is
mhm,
something along the lines of, "Oh, this is what astronomers are like," or like, "This is what astrophysicists look like." And
mhm,
no, not really, not for the most part.
right.
To be honest, there's the field is about 1% black. So
Wow.
it's not, yeah, like, I mean, how many things in life do we even know to 99% certainty? But if you meet an astronomer, you can be 99% certain that that person is going to be anything but black. So it's
Yeah.
definitely really important to me to be authentic. And it's the same way that you said, I know that I'm engaging with people that just simply don't usually engage with content or information that's coming from a specific uh, whatever the representation is, for science communicators or, mathematicians or physicists, whatever it is. And that also touches on the mental health aspect, which is
Mhm.
what I'm very glad to talk about and have developed a passion for that as well. And it's the authenticity to me,
Mm,
like a really important aspect of mental health and sort of combating or evading like feelings of like depression and anxiety is being able to like live a life that's authentic with what you actually want and who you actually are. And if you can't do that, it's very natural to start feeling worse, to start having your
mm.
mental or emotional health dip because you're not doing what you want to do. Like you're not being able to fully be yourself, and it can turn into like a prison of
Right.
sorts. So yeah,
It's especially as like people of color and men, we are very much held into a lot of the stereotypes and misconceptions and just like these set idea paths that we should be following. And
mhm.
so Can I ask you, like, kind of going into it, because you hit on my topic. Mental health is something I'm extremely passionate about. That's how, that's why I hit you up.
Yep.
Because I know that's one of the things, your pillars is just the mental health aspect. And as a black man, I'm really passionate about that and creating spaces because I'm a sister, I'm a daughter of black men,
Hmm.
and I know that it's hard. And even just dealing with my own mental health issues. But I feel like for men, it's men of color, it's like 10 times harder because emotions have been um, told that they're not something that you should express. And
Hmm.
so that's why I'm like, I really see where you're going with that authenticity is being one of those things that helps with mental health.
Hmm.
Um, and so kind of leading back to, did you feel like when you were playing football, was that something that was in your wheelhouse, or did you feel that you had to do that to fit your mode, fit a certain mode?
Sorry, just to clarify, did I feel like what was in my wheelhouse?
Oh, sorry. So, like, just what playing football, was that it just something that felt like you wanted to do, or was that just something that you felt like you had to do
Oh,
because
you're
that
talking
was
about
like something?
actually my actual football career. No, that was what I wanted.
Correct.
That was 100% what I wanted
Okay.
to do. That was, and when you're playing, so I was playing in college, and when you're playing at a high level, like a Division 1 level, your entire life is sort of mapped out around the sport. What time you eat, what you do on the weekends, whether or not you're
Mm,
going to be able to see family on the holidays, what your class schedule is going to look like, what majors you can even enroll in. And so it was, and I loved it. I loved that because I loved training and I loved playing that much. And
mm,
so, yeah, I actually do feel like that was very much in alignment with me. Now,
mm,
when I had that taken away, I ended up having a few knee injuries and not really being able to train and bounce back the way that I needed to. And when I was looking for something else, there was basically this enormous void where
mm,
where football was um, taking place. And but when I didn't have that focus anymore, it allowed me to like probe this more like academic interest. But it freed up so much energy, mental and emotional energy to
mm.
find something else. But I do feel like football was very much aligned with what my passions were at the time.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, this kind of leads into one of the questions I got from Instagram from Erica, and she says, "Do you still get to play football in some way, or is that something you have to stop completely due to your injuries?"
Oh yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't play. I didn't even really play my last year at Kentucky, and I graduated from there in 2013 or 2014. So I can't play. Haven't been playing for years. I don't even have a meniscus in my knee anymore, so I
Ooh.
can't. I try to do some like recreational stuff from time to time, but it's
Mhm.
hard for me to even run honestly at this point.
Mm,
I do go
gotcha.
to the gym a lot.
Mhm.
I think that for me, being diligent about staying like physically active is another important component of my mental health.
Yeah.
So the only way, yeah, that football lifestyle is continued on today is just by training, working out, doing some of the lifts that we used to do.
Okay. Do you still kind of keep track of it? Do you follow it? Are you still just a football fan now?
I wouldn't say I keep track of it. I'm a fan. Like I'll go to games with friends if it comes up, but I really don't follow too closely to it. Now I am a big basketball fan. Um
Okay.
so I do follow that. Yeah, I'm a Celtics fan. So that's a
Okay.
little bit dangerous where I'm at right now. I go to UCLA, so I'm in LA, and the
Mhm.
Celtics are like the devil out here. So
Really? I didn't think that was.
there's just a lot of Lakers fans. I guess there's just like an old rivalry
Oh,
between the
Robert.
and the
Okay.
Celtics.
Well, let me ask you this, because my podcast is called Cosigns and Tangents, because we can go on a tangent, and so you kind of like went into. I want to hit up some questions that my football person had. Her name's Jen, and she was going to be here with us today, but she's not feeling well. But so she's a really big football person, and so
Okay.
let me go ahead and get these out the way because I know nothing about football. I feel like I know more about space and astrophysics than football. So
Uh,
she wanted to know. She got a couple questions for you. She wanted to know about the rivalry between Kentucky and Memphis. And is that just the Memphis side with the coach Calipari? Do you have any
are you talking about basketball?
football, or what she said? Oh, maybe because this is her questions. Because I
Mhm.
guess because I'm from Memphis, we both from Memphis, and so apparently Coach Calipari, I guess, left Memphis and went to Kentucky, and
Yeah.
so that
Mhm.
started like a whole rivalry between Memphis and Kentucky. Did you have any issues with that or any feelings whatsoever about that?
I don't
These are
have
her questions.
I don't have any feelings towards that. Coach
Mhm,
Calipari, he coached basketball at Memphis though, and then went to Kentucky to coach where he coaches basketball. So I think if there is a rivalry, it
mhm.
may be more on the
Basketball.
basketball side, but I'm
Okay.
not. Yeah, like our big rivalries at Kentucky were Tennessee Volunteers,
Hmm.
um,
Of
Louisville
course.
Cardinals.
Okay.
Those were the two big ones. Yeah. See, because I don't remember we didn't actually even play Memphis in football, but
Oh,
they may have played in basketball. Um,
okay.
yeah, because there's not that
So it
many
didn't.
games in the season.
Okay. So the rivalry between Coach Calipari and Memphis did not seep over at least the football realm. So that's good to know. Okay.
To
And
my
her
knowledge,
last, to
to
your
my knowledge,
knowledge.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So last question from Jen in Illinois. She wants to know who is the better Dakota, you or the Dakota Prescott in football?
Oh, Dak Prescott. Who's
Hmm.
better at what?
Yes.
Oh,
I
probably.
guess in football. She said in football. Who did you feel was better?
Who's better, the guy who got injured in college or the guy who's literally the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys?
Well,
Um,
that was her question.
I'm going to say that he is a far better quarterback than I am,
Okay.
and I
Uh-huh.
think that I am a far better astrophysicist than he is.
That is sounds perfect. And that leads us back to astrophysics. Thank you. Because I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and get these football questions out the way because I'm not even gonna perpetrate. I don't know nothing about football. She tried to teach me several times and it just went right over my head. Okay. So let's talk more about just like how is Dakota doing just what do you do for your mental health? I know you said that working out and
Mhm.
becoming more authentically yourself. What are some of the things that you feel are important to for men to know about mental health and what they should do to kind of like, get better in their feelings?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and it's it's a hard thing to get at because I feel that personally, I it's hard to like take advice on that. As a man, it seems like it feels like at least it has for me that most of your journey towards like understanding um because like developing an awareness of your mental health or your emotional health is really sort of like a lonely journey that you have to like kind of figure out on your own. But one thing that over the years that I have come to realize really by trying to take a more critical look at myself and my own role in various friendships, relationships, family interactions is how I would always how natural it was for me to feel anger or to show anger, and
Mhm.
how often for men that is sort of the way that a lot of different emotions can be expressed, because it's an acceptable one. At least
Mhm.
it's not sort of looked down upon as not manly, if that makes sense. It's not that people are heralded for having anger problems, but anger has for many men is a very acceptable and common way to express different emotions. And it's not positive, so it's going to cause damage in your life and in your relationships. And if you for me, just becoming more introspective, going to therapy, and then figuring out what are the actual feelings that I'm feeling that are causing me to sort of, express myself in such a way. And I think that if you can be introspective, and go to therapy and be comfortable with asking yourself these questions, like, what am I really feeling? Where are those feelings coming from? Is it something from childhood, some dynamic I had with my parents or didn't have? And really digging into it in that way and trying to become like an observer of yourself.
Mhm.
I think that is for me, it's where the sort of mental health journey started, and figuring out some adaptations that you probably had to develop over the years, just being a black man, black woman, whatever, a black person in society. You're living a different life. Like, it's a different experience um, than different, than other groups of people have. And so you have to create these adaptations that may help you get through, but that doesn't mean that they're good for you. It doesn't mean that it's emotionally or mentally beneficial or healthy to,
Yeah.
yeah, to end up those certain ways. So for me, it was kind of like a lot of reverse engineering why I
I
am the
love
way
that.
that I am now. Because some of the things that I feel like I've developed, they actually enable my success now. Like,
Hmm.
they help drive me. They help me accomplish things that are very difficult to accomplish. But
Like what?
so a big one is developing sort of like a tough exterior, a lot of resilience.
Mhm.
Um, Right. So I'm in a field that is, like I said, it's like 1% black. And the vast majority of people in academia tend to come from like high class backgrounds.
Mm.
So even in the 1% black, I didn't grow up that way. Like, my parents weren't doctors or anything like that. Even in that 1%, I'm like not in the higher class, or I didn't come from the higher class background. So there's things that I talk to my colleagues about, like a lot of microaggressions, which can wreak havoc on anybody, and it's a toxic environment to be in. But just through this sort of that traditionally masculine idea of being tough and being to like
Mhm.
understand those sort of things has helped me immensely to move through a space like astrophysics, in science, a hard science where there's not a lot of black people. That just like having that toughness, it makes it infinitely more easy to move through.
Mhm.
But
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, but it also ends up having causing me to maybe be like disconnected from that part of myself, from that more like emotional part of myself, or whatever.
Gotcha. Well, when you first started like in this field, what were some of the did you notice like microaggressions immediately, or was it just like you just saw people? Was it like a kind of a slow process when it came to dealing with people within that field? Like, what's some of the things like? How did the what are some of the like those microaggressions that you I'm sorry, my whole train of thought just left me.
I think
So
I
what are
got you.
some?
I think I
Yeah,
got
so yeah, what kind of microaggressions that you face? That's what I'm trying to say. Did you face when you started in your program?
you. Yeah. So the first day that I showed up in my bachelor's, I did a bachelor's in physics. I had to go back and get another undergrad degree. The first day I was there on campus, I ran into this guy, and he asked me if I was lost. Like, he thought that I didn't know where I was. I'm assuming at the
Mhm.
time he thought I was maybe like a football player or something, and that I was like wandering into the wrong class if I was going into these physics classes. And um, that is, and he didn't like mean anything bad by it, but
Mhm.
it's that sort of thing. It
Right. You
Yeah,
automatically assume that I don't belong.
yeah, yeah. And
Like you.
there's multiple components to that too, because like, yes, I'm a black man, but I'm also yeah, like I'm an athlete, or I was an athlete, so I'm also like kind of bigger than a lot of people, and I'm in pretty good shape. So I can see there being like multiple things that are converging, and not just like, oh wait, this person's black, he doesn't belong here. That maybe it's also, has to do with the fact that I just don't look like the vast majority of physicists.
True, true. Because, like, I guess when someone thinks of a astrophysicist, they think maybe like Carl Sagan, white,
Mhm.
white coat, kind of skinny with a little what they call those little pocket protector. So we
Yeah,
do think we have like a lot of these built up misconceptions
yeah.
of who a person should be when they're going into a certain field. And so
Mhm.
you had to deal with not only like the racial component, but also like a physicality component. There's a lot of bias when it comes to certain things when it's in a astrophysicist department. So
Yeah, yeah.
how long left do you have before you're a full fledged out of the box astrophysicist out of college, out of your program?
Um, so I'm an astrophysicist now, but I'm assuming you mean when I finish. Do you mean like when I get my doctorate?
Yes.
Okay, so that is probably going to be 2 or 3 years, probably 3 years.
Okay. So what is like your goal? Like, because you studied the exoplanets. So what are you hoping to kind of do with once you're out with your doctorate? Are you going to continue to do more, be face forward on social medias, trying to educate people that way? Are you planning on teaching? What are you hoping to do with it?
Yeah. So my goals now, to continue doing research. I love doing the research, but a major component of what I want my career to be moving forward is delivering this information, this message from the universe, how things are, why they are the way that they are, to the public, and trying to wrap that up in a way that people can digest it and get
Mhm.
something from not just the amazement of, well, this is wild, black holes and galaxies, and mind, that sort of mind blowing effect, but more practical things that can allow people to feel more in touch with the universe that we live in, and see how some of those structures and systems that we see out in the universe are applicable to our day-to-day life and our experience as humans.
Mhm. Well, look, I want to get into some of the questions I have about it. Okay.
Mhm.
So I might pronounce this wrong. Is it the the JW satellite? Is it the
Yeah, the James
uh,
Webb Space Telescope.
James Webb? Yes. So I did listen to like a podcast about it, and I was just amazed at how much money they spent, and just how the pictures were just amazing. So,
Mhm.
as a astrophysicist, what was it like for you when you saw those images coming back? Because I know as a regular person, I'm like, that's so pretty. But for
Yeah,
you, who has that background, that knowledge, what was it like for you?
yeah, it was. Well, they're amazing images. First of all, they're by far the most clear images that we have of honestly, just the universe at all. And one of the big key goals for the JWST mission is to study the earliest galaxies in the universe. And what that means, practically for us, is looking as far as we can look. So, because there's a speed of light travels at a certain speed. And that means that if I turn a light bulb on here on Earth, and you're 10 light years away staring at the Earth, and it's a big enough light bulb, so use your imagination, that
Mm-hmm.
you won't see on that other planet the light turn on for 10 years, because that's just how long it takes the light to get there. So when you
Oh,
think
okay.
about it like that, you really are seeing into the past if you're looking far away, right? And so if we look at the absolute farthest galaxies and stars that we can see in our universe, then we'll be seeing the light that left however long ago that was, depending on the distance. So in some of those images, there are galaxies that gave off light like 13 billion years ago or something like that.
Right.
And that in and of itself is amazing. It's sort of it's a time machine that only works one way.
Because I was after this the images came, I was just looking up at the sky because I know that's what they said. So we're seeing that the light that went off 13 million years ago, right? Is that am I getting it right?
Yeah,
So does that mean that like the star is dead? Like our
great. That's a
yeah
great question. That's a great
yeah
question. We don't know what that galaxy looks like now, right?
okay
We
right
only know what it looked like 13 billion years ago. Now, what we could do is we could look at a closer distance that's not quite as far and see
hmm
what those galaxies look like a few billion years after that, or a few billion years after that. When we look at nearby galaxies, we can see how everything looks today. So, although we will never know what those initial galaxies that we're now observing,
hmm
like now, yeah, like a lot of those stars are probably dead. Some of those galaxies probably don't even look the same. They have merged with other galaxies, or maybe like most of the
hmm
stars in the galaxy have died.
hmm
Yeah, we don't really know that. But you would just look at a different distance, and then you could see what galaxies, how they sort of evolve over time, if that makes sense.
right. So okay, another question just off the dome, because again, I was just wondering. So, and I'm gonna try my best to ask this correctly. So okay, so the star, the our sun is a star, right?
Yeah, yeah, closest star to us.
Okay, it's the closest star to us. So are all, but not, but all stars aren't suns, right? Is that the case?
Yeah, yeah,
Or,
it's yeah, I mean, basically, the sun is just what we call our star. But yeah, I
okay,
mean, they're all suns, basically.
okay. Because I was just wondering, I was like, so does it just certain stars, depending on how far they are from a planet, considered the sun of that planet?
No,
That's
it's just a name. It's like naming a planet. Um, there's only one Earth, but that's just the name we gave it. So
oh, okay. So we just named this star the sun. So technically, it's just okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I've
Now
always I've always wanted that.
those other stars,
Uh
if
huh.
they have planets that orbit them, then those planets kind of belong to that star. But yeah, there's nothing like intrinsic about the name. That's just the name that we gave.
Oh, okay. So it's just a generic name. Okay. See, now I did not know that. I was like, so does all planets have stars? But all okay. I get it now. It makes sense. Okay. So this kind of leads into one other question, a question I have from Eamon from Instagram. He wants to know what are some real world applications that astrophysics can help solve, if any.
Oh, that astrophysics can help solve.
Mm-hmm.
So most of, I mean, there's so what you're really getting at the heart out there is just understanding physics. And when you understand physics, you can create technology. You can create buildings, electricity, use radio waves and cell phones and that sort of thing. Specifically in astronomy, though, to give a better answer than that, our cell phones, the cameras on our cell phones use something that's called a CCD. It's a charge coupled device, and basically all it is it's a little device that um, receives photons, and as the photons, these particles of light come in, they get stored on on the device, and it gets converted from a photon to an electron, right? So to electricity, and that's how we take pictures. This CCDs were invented for astronomers. Astronomers invented them to observe stars and collect the light from stars. So that's an application that everybody has in their pocket.
Oh, that's so cool. I did not know that. Okay. So a CCD with the photons and it takes pictures. Okay, that's pretty cool. So what are some of the things when you got into this field, what was some of the most mind blowing facts that you learned that you never knew about
Um,
astrophysics?
some of the most mind-blowing facts that I have learned, I guess, the most mind-blowing fact to me right
Mhm.
now, and it's something that we still don't actually know, is that so everything that you see, all of the like matter and material, stars, galaxies, planets, all the stuff that you can like see and touch and interact with, only makes up a really small percentage, like um I want to say around 5% of what actually exists in our universe. The vast majority of what exists in our universe is something called dark energy, which we don't really understand. We see evidence for it, but we don't really know what it is. And dark matter, which is another thing that we see evidence for, but we can't like interact with it, and we don't know what it is. And it doesn't interact with matter in the same way that like you and I could touch a door or stand on a planet. So the vast majority of what we know exists in this universe is completely unknown to us. And I mean the vast majority, it's like something like 95 or 96% of what makes up our universe is in forms of this dark energy and dark matter that we just don't know what it is.
Oh wow, that is kind of that's very. I don't know how to like. That's very not scary, but kind of it's more wow. It's just like we're just so small in the grand scheme of things when you think about it like that. So
Yeah.
let me. So how does that make you feel? Like mentally, did that just like blow your mind? Did it just make you feel? Because I know when I learned more about the world and space and the universe, when I saw those images on the James Webb Telescope, or no satellite, actually, I just felt incredibly small. But did that affect you in any type of way mentally, or did it just kind of did it give you a peace? How did that make you feel?
So the way that knowing this sort of the facts about the universe makes me feel is is actually the opposite. It when you realize like what this is, and when you realize like a full cosmological perspective, then you'll see that as humans living on Earth, we have lives that are 100% completely immersed in our small issues. We give anxiety about things that don't actually matter at all. We think that everything that is in the universe, everything that exists, is like surrounding us, and that can cause people to do all different types of things that are not really intentionally thought out. And what just having a better understanding, a better perspective on the universe does for me is allows me um to like just live authentically, to not worry about things that literally don't matter, how somebody else is viewing you, or what
Mm,
somebody else thinks about what you're doing with your life, what types of passions you're pursuing, what you love to do. For me, it just gives me the permission,
mm.
even more permission, to just be myself and do the things that I love and try to have the impact that I want to have.
That's amazing. Because I know some people can go into like a little crises and realizing that you're just a speck in the universe. But
Yeah.
again, it does kind of give you like a weird freedom. Like when I was watching, like looking at those images, I'm just like, why are we so worried about these minuscule things and what people do and how they spend their time when we're just very small and the
Mhm.
world is so big. And I think people tend to limit everything. Like they limit their views on people, they limit their views on religion and God and everything, but it's so vast and there's such a grand scope of things. Um, so kind of going into that, like, were you? Can I ask, were you religious when you were growing up, or did you find yourself more spiritual, or did you have?
Um, yeah, I grew up religious.
Okay.
I grew up religious. These days I would say I'm more spiritual in how I
Hmm.
feel connected with with the universe and how much sense my experience makes to me in context of the universe and in context of how things work in our, in our universe. So I do feel like a strong spiritual connection to sort of everything that exists.
Right, right. So did you so when you were going through um your first time in doing physics and then into the astrophysics realm, did you have like any strange epiphanies when you were going through learning about this, when you were about religion and anything like that? Because I studied anthropology and psychology, and I know those kind of like opened my brain to certain concepts and ideas about religion. It kind of changed, kind of influence of how I move today. So is that like, did you have any revelations that kind of changed you into more of a spiritual person?
Um, Not, I wouldn't say that I that I had any revelation. It's all the same. It's all the same revelation. We live
Mm-hmm.
in an infinite universe
Mm-hmm.
that has rules. We call these rules the laws of physics. And when you understand them, things make a lot more sense. It's not confusing why the sun comes up and goes down every day. It's because we live on a globe that spins and faces the sun sometimes and then doesn't face the sun sometimes. And just understanding ourselves better, for me, it's something that I can absolutely get when if you watch some of my videos on my TikTok page, I usually try to tie in a way to read into or apply whatever the concept is that I'm talking about, or whatever the astronomical object that I'm talking about, back to our own lives. And for me, that's the revelation. The revelation is that we're not different from the universe. We are the universe. We're made of the same things. We live in the same universe. We all operate under the same rules. So I guess that's sort of the ongoing revelation that I get from uh, being an astrophysicist.
I completely agree because when I was listening to my NPR, because I'm old and I like NPR, I love NPR so much. They were talking about this, that the universe is made up of, is it hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, and that's what some of the, let me know if I'm wrong, and that's what the some of the same things that our bodies are made up of, and therefore, because I was just thinking about it, you just have those thoughts and you just look in the sky. It's like, we are the universe.
Yeah, literally, we
We,
are. The stuff that makes us up is the most common stuff in the universe. Like, it literally
mm-hmm,
is the most common stuff that exists in the universe. So we're quite literally just made up of the most common stuff that's in the universe. Like, we're a piece of it,
mm-hmm,
that,
yeah,
yeah, has a conscience and can have memories and has like the freedom to move in the ways that we want, but still a part of the universe nonetheless, and subject to all the same laws and all the same rules. And yeah, just, it's very, very much more connected than I think most people realize.
yeah. That is so cool. And I feel like if we were, as people, we just realize how, because in my aspect, somebody called me like a religious universalist, where I just believe that God is in everything. And I
Mhm.
was like, if y'all just calm down, because the way y'all talk about God is super limited when the universe is so massive. Like, I don't think we give God or source of the universe enough credit when it comes to like the things that we do on Earth. Um, but I do have a couple more questions. So I want to know, why do you feel that people of color, Black people, should care about space? Like, why do you feel that we should be more involved in astrophysics?
So that's a good question. For one, it's fascinating, and I think that everybody should care about educating themselves about about reality, about how things are, about where we come from. I think that that's something that everybody can learn from. But more specifically, and I don't even think that this just relates to Black people. I think that everybody can learn more about themselves by understanding the universe better, which I guess is one of the reasons that it's really important for me to when I'm doing my SciComm videos is to be authentic, because it's like you said, representation matters, and the same message can be received differently by different people depending on the medium or the vessel for which the message is being relayed. So I would say that Black people um, can gain from understanding the universe what everybody else can. Now, the reason why that is a point that should be highlighted at all is because, like I said, there's an incredibly small percentage of the field that's Black. This is just not information that I think has traditionally been relayed to, with Black people in mind, if that makes sense.
Right.
A lot of times, like, science communicators, from what I see, and not to take a dig at any of them, but it's all kind of like cut and copy paste. It's all the same sort of message coming from the same sort of looking person. And that clearly is not getting to everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, this is super random, and again, this is how I flow. Who's your favorite like TV scientist? So is it like out of okay? I'm gonna give you a choice. How about this? There's Neil deGrasse Tyson. We have Carl Sagan and Bill Nye the Science Guy. Do you
Who's my
have a
favorite from those three?
yes?
I don't know if I have a favorite from those three. I will say that when I was first getting into astronomy, I
Hmm.
watched every documentary I could that Neil deGrasse Tyson was in.
Uh-huh.
Um,
The Cosmos.
so yeah, so at that time for me, this was like 7, 8 years ago. I would
Hmm.
say he was a bit of an inspiration. The way his enthusiasm and just knowledge on these subjects in astronomy was something that was inspiring to me. But I just, at this point, I can't really say that I have a favorite. And ultimately, I look at, um, I feel like I want to do the same thing, but
Hmm.
in my own way.
Right.
I,
Yeah.
I, the I don't really have the sort of like pedestalization of any of them anymore.
Yeah, I get that because you're going to be your own representation, and it's going to be because I already like the way you do it. You present it in one because our the way our minds work now, we're so short, not short sighted, but our attention spans are so short. So you give the information in quick bursts, and it's interesting because you are representing yourself authentically as the person you are. And that is also showing people that they can do the same thing. They can represent themselves and
Yeah,
still be interested in astrophysics or plants, astrology, astronomy, and just be as authentic as you can. Because this the one thing I've learned of the last 2 years is the reason what made me start the podcast again. Is just being as authentic because really ain't nobody stopping us for us. And you just have to really just kind of
seriously.
like grab it. Hmm.
Seriously, and it's a snowball effect because that authenticity, like we said before, it really lends itself towards you feeling better about yourself, feeling better mentally and emotionally because you're pursuing the things that you want and you're doing it in a way that's real to you. And that just builds more confidence, more self-esteem, which allows you to do it even more and do it better and be even more authentic. And it's like a positive snowball effect.
Right. Because when I was reading just some of the articles about you, you talked about how you did have like an interest in the stars growing up. But was there something before you went back to school to get your physics degree, bachelor's? Was there something before physics that you thought you wanted to do before you settled on astrophysics as your main purpose, is your main goal?
Yeah, well, I wanted to play football. I wanted to go to the
That's
NFL.
right.
And
Well,
but after that, when I was deciding what I wanted to do, there was no other thing. Astronomy was the thing that was most interesting to me,
mhm,
and
mhm.
and then I just looked up like, well, how do I do this? How do I get my P? Okay, so I need a PhD. Well, how do I do that? All right, I need to go to grad school. Well, I just got a undergrad degree. Maybe I can go to grad school now. And I called up a graduate department, and they were like, nah, you need like 6 more years of math that you never took. And then so I ended
Six
up having to.
years?
I had to, yeah. So I basically had to start over from the beginning.
Mhm. Yeah, one of my friends, when I was talking to him about you, he was like, because he remarked the fact that you like you didn't know what you had to do, and then you had to start all over, and it was like you didn't know math that well, and so starting over was something that he admired because he's doing the same thing. He's going to get his doctorate. He's working
Uh,
on his now because and he's in his late 30s. So he's like, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to do what I gotta do. I said, yeah, just go for it.
yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah,
mean, the cosmological perspective there for me is like, why would you not? You know, we for
right,
whatever reason, we're all blessed to be alive and to exist right now. Why would you not pursue whatever the thing is that you want? One of the things I think that holds a lot of us back, that certainly for at myself at times has caused some friction, is this comparison, this like incessant comparison that we constantly try to do with other people. Like, well, if I go back to school right now, then I won't be working at a job and like climbing up that ladder, and I won't be making as much money. And like that's what a lot of my friends are doing now.
yeah,
So like maybe that should be influencing how I feel or what I want to do. When no, like should it? Like why does that matter? Why does that matter at all? Isn't the thing that matters most your experience, how happy you are, how much you are able to like reach your potential and then push that energy back out into the world to maybe help other people and literally make the world a better place simply by being authentic and encouraging other people to do the same.
right. Because did you ever, with the imposter syndrome, did you have a lot of that when you first changed into this field?
Yeah, I think that I did. I think that
Hmm.
at the very beginning, I wanted to be what that quote unquote astrophysicist is. Like I wanted to be that. And then over time, I realized that I'm not like that. I'm nothing like the again the traditional
Tweed
astrophysicist. I don't
jackets
have the back.
and
I didn't
mhm,
go to Ivy League schools. You know what I mean? I
mhm.
wasn't a strong academic student when I was younger. I'm just not that. And so for me now, there is no imposter syndrome. I'm not like most. I know that I'm not like most
So you
astrophysicists.
use that as your strength, really.
Yeah, yeah, like that's not who I am. I don't feel I'm doing the same work. You know,
Hmm.
I
Right.
have the same qualifications. I got my master's in astrophysics a couple months ago. I'm going to get my PhD. So the imposter syndrome again, like we said, it's a comparison, and I don't have that desire to make that comparison to myself.
Yeah. What do you feel is like a unique perspective that you have that some of your colleagues, besides, well, you kind of have it, but I'm about to ask the question anyway, but I want you to say, what are some of the unique perspectives do you think you have, that, oh, oh, sorry, I almost dropped my phone. Unique perspectives that you have that your colleagues don't?
When you say a unique perspective, do you mean like a unique experience from my past that's different, or do you mean a
Yeah.
perspective on like how I see astronomy as a whole?
Let's do the how you see astronomy as a whole. Because
Okay.
I feel like it's like not obvious, but you're a black man football player. Because we kind of already talked about that. But yeah, how you see astronomy as a whole, I think that's interesting.
Yeah, so sort of not to keep beating the same drum, but the view that I have that understanding the universe and like understanding the technical some of the more technical details behind how things work offer us like an incredible amount of information about ourselves. And how we relate to other people or to society, how individuals relate to larger groups, and trying to make those connections. I'm looking at some planets and talking about planets and how planets can develop the complexities for life. And there's like things that planets need to be aware of, not that they have that awareness, right? But a
Mhm.
planet can't be way too far away off into the deepest part of the solar system because it'll be too cold and life won't be able to evolve properly because there won't be any liquid water. It also can't be really, really close to the star,
Right.
like Mercury, because it won't have the right conditions there either. It's a completely separate set of problems, but they're problems nonetheless that you need sort of balance. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, some of this, you need a little bit of luck, and then,
Mhm.
magic can happen and life can evolve. And I mean, that's something that, this idea of needing equilibrium, having good balance, that's something that every person should be aware of, in their day-to-day life.
And it was I was about to ask you another question, but I can't remember. I'm sorry. But okay. So kind of speaking of just how you were talking about how everything has to be like in the right place, right time. It can't be too close to a star, too far away from one.
Mhm.
Um, so how do you feel, I feel like I have to ask you this question. Do you feel that life exists outside of our solar system?
Yes, I feel that it does, and that's a good word because it's a feeling,
Hmm.
or a belief, rather than a fact, because we haven't found it, so we can't say it for sure. But if you
Right.
take it, you pointed it out earlier, we're made up of the stuff that's everywhere in the universe. And so
Hmm.
there's stars everywhere, there's planets everywhere, there's just so many, and there's so much opportunity for life to exist that it would be it would almost be unfathomable if it didn't. Like, it would be
Right.
more miraculous if it didn't than if it did.
I completely agree because I know when I was young, I was like, has to be something out there. Like I just refuse to believe that we're just the only little atoms running around here just mucking up the universe. So
Right.
gotta be a lie out there.
Got
Okay, got to. And I wonder, like maybe like I wonder why we. This is just me kind of going off the dome. I wonder why we look the way we look. Because I'm wondering because of.
I'm sorry, you
Oh,
said what do I think they would look like?
yeah, because like you said, because of different environmental factors, maybe
Well,
create bigger people because of more oxygen or stuff like that.
there's like, yeah, there's so many variables. I don't even think we could be aware of them all. Because I could ask you this: what does life look like on Earth? And it's like, how do you even, like, what would you say? Because we have humans,
So,
there's
right?
dolphins, there's birds, there's dinosaurs that can't live now, but they could at a time. There used to be,
Hmm.
when there was much more oxygen, there was giant insects that couldn't live now, but they could back then. And even now, there's still, there's things that live in the bottom of the ocean that we've never even discovered. There's octopuses with 8 arms and
Yes.
squirt ink. Like I don't even, you know what I mean? Like, who knows? Like,
Right.
I bet that anything that's possible, if it is a possible configuration that could exist, I would bet that it probably does somewhere in the universe.
What do you think is scarier, the sea or space?
100% the ocean, 100%. Because I'm
I
thinking,
agree.
like, I'd be scared in the ocean just because I
The,
can't see what's right there, but I don't have that feeling about space.
right, I agree. Because I was looking at something, some kind of a documentary, because I like documentaries too,
Me too.
and it's just be some weird things up in the ocean. Like
Oh,
what?
like, just totally. The stuff in the ocean, a lot of it looks like aliens.
Yes,
Have you ever seen the documentaries where they go way down where it's pitch black and there's like
yes.
weird looking jelly creature fish that like
Hmm.
light up and shine different color. Like that literally looks like
Yes.
something out of a sci-fi movie.
It looks like the Predator. It's just terrifying. Like I would take my chances in space more too in the ocean. Like, I feel like I'm going to encounter something that's going to eat or kill me or play with me like some type of toy in the ocean immediately. Well, we're getting towards the end, so I just want to ask kind of like some fun questions, considering that you are, you have to be a nerd, just have to be, just a little bit. So what would be when you're watching TV? Because we all watch TV, hopefully. What are some of your go-to shows? Like, do you watch a lot of sci-fi shows, or do you find yourself like it's too unrealistic to even bother?
Not really watch things with that sort of lens where it's like, this is unrealistic. I do appreciate when shows try to get things right, but I also
Hmm.
I like to be entertained. I like a good story, a good narrative.
Hmm.
So I'll watch some sci-fi stuff. I mean, my favorite show to watch, I don't watch a lot of TV really, but every once in a while I'll watch like Rick and Morty. I think that show's really funny.
It
Um,
is really kind of hilarious. I didn't watch it until like recently. I started getting into it. It is kind of hilarious.
yeah. There's this show called The Expanse that's really good. Um,
Watch that.
yeah, it's a good now that and that's one of the sci-fi shows that is they're pretty solid on the science in that one, but the narrative is what's really good. And then I like I think like Breaking Bad was one of my favorite shows. I liked did you ever watch Lost? I used to really like that show Lost.
I tried to get into it, but it kept going. You know how things could keep going without making a point. That's kind of how I felt about
Yeah.
Lost.
Oh yeah.
It's,
Oh yeah. That's what
it's,
happened. That's
mm-hmm.
literally what happened with that show. And when they wrapped it all up, the ending made absolutely no sense. And I felt like I just wasted like 10,000 hours of my life.
That's how I felt about the end of what's the word? Game of Thrones.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were
I was
gonna say
like,
that. It was
did
like
you watch it?
yeah, yeah. It roped us in with such great like political drama and
Yes.
conspiracy in the beginning, and then they just
Mm-hmm.
ended it in like they just couldn't like they just wanted to get it over with now.
That's what it felt like. Are you going to give the new show any chance? Because I think I'm gonna watch it, but I'm scared that they're gonna leave me in for the next 10 years and then drop me off and just
Right? And then
disappoint me all over again.
push you out of a moving vehicle. Yeah.
Because that last season, man, I remember because me and my roommates at the time, we started it day one and we watched it all the way to the final thing. So we started together and we ended it together. And
uh,
we all three of us stared at the TV and no one spoke. And then I said, "Are you serious? Like, is this really ended? 10 years?" So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know if am I gonna watch that new one? I don't know. Honestly, that one thing that I do because it'd be easy for me to like start watching a show and then just start binge watching it. And I don't like to do that because that I can remember a time back years ago when like I'll accidentally stay up till like 4 or 5 in the morning just watching episode after episode. So
Mhm.
I try to stay away from that these days.
That's how I was with Breaking Bad because I got into it. I think after it ended, I don't know what made me do it. I think one of my friends said it was good, and next you know, I was addicted. I would binge watch it all day at work. That's I'm surprised I didn't get fired. I almost did, honestly, but I didn't. But this was years ago. This was like 7 years ago, right? And so I watched it all day until I finished it. And I have to say, they had one of the most satisfying endings that I've seen
Oh,
in
it
TV.
it's rare that a show wraps it up, right? Because most of the time these shows they just go on for too long. So
Too
there's no
long, right?
did you ever watch the spinoff Better Call Saul?
I haven't, but I heard that was really good. So I think I'm going to add it to my queue.
It's really good.
Okay.
That one that I watched, I don't think I watched the newest season yet, but I really enjoyed that one. That lawyer character, he's just so entertaining.
I love the guy the actor. He's a great actor.
He
And I
really is.
loved his he had some of the best scenes in the first. in the seasons of Breaking Bad. So I'm gonna give it a chance. I waited for it to end, and so I'm just gonna binge it. Like it'd be like maybe like a new comfort show for me because like
Yeah.
I watched Office as my comfort show,
Oh, yeah,
Friends,
that's my joint. I have those episodes memorized by heart.
The Office.
Yeah, I watched that
Oh
so
my
many.
gosh. Me too. Do you watch it on Peacock? Now they got like the deleted scenes version. So I kind of
Oh, they
started back
do?
watching those.
Oh,
Peacock.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah. So they have it, it's called the I can't remember what they call it, but it's like a second tier, like a second show. And it's they have 1 through 5 seasons and it has the deleted scenes interweaving into the original story. So you get to see some of the backstory as well. So
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna
it's
have to
like,
check it out.
oh yeah. Like once I get obsessed with a show, I get real obsessed, and I would listen to the podcast. I watch the deleted scenes. It became everything. So, okay. So another question: since we're still in the space realm, would you consider yourself a Star Trek or a Star Wars person, or neither?
Yeah, so I've never seen Star Wars and
What?
I've never seen Star Trek.
What?
Yeah.
Not
But
even no new iterations. Nothing.
okay, hold up. So you're right. So I have seen some of the new Star Trek
Okay.
movies, and
Okay.
I did like those. The
Okay.
ones,
I
I don't
got
know
you.
the ones I saw, but I did see those. So I guess if I had to say, I would pick Star Trek. But I mean, I'm really going off of no information because I haven't seen Star Wars.
It's okay because like I'm not. I'm surprised, but I'm not judging you. Let me make sure I put that because I didn't start watching Star Trek, and honestly, I was pronouncing it Star Trek, and people are like, "That's not right." I'm like, "Shut up." I'm from the South. That's what I blame it on.
Where are you?
I'm from Memphis.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so Memphis, and I'm in Tennessee and actually technically Georgia. So I blame everything on my accent. Um, but I'm more of a new Star Trek person anyway. So, and I've been watching the new stuff. Now, have you ever watched Doctor Who?
I've seen a couple episodes, but not enough to really have an opinion, able
Oh,
to bring anything, yeah, to a conversation about it. Are you recommending it?
yeah, I am. I am. I'm gonna recommend it. Don't
Uh-huh.
even buy. Well, I may sound like I'm not a great Doctor Who fan. I didn't watch any of the old stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna be a perpetrator. I started with the new seasons with Chris Eccleston, and then I stopped with Peter Capaldi. But people still say those are still pretty good. I just want you to watch Blink. I just want you to watch the episode. It's called Blink, and it's
Uh-huh.
with David Tennant. And that's the episode I tend to convert people with, and because it's really, really good.
Okay.
And you
I'm
can
gonna
go
give it
from
a
there.
shot. I'll give it a shot
Okay.
for you.
Appreciate it. I'm gonna check back on you because that's your homework.
All right.
I know you know that's more important than your astrophysicist duties.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see what my
But
advisor has to say about that.
right, I think there's like a paper you can do. Just let them know that Sana from Cosigns and Tangents told you had to do this more important thing than observe exoplanets.
All right. Yeah, I will direct all of that
Mhm, mhm.
response to you.
Right, I'll take the heat. I take the heat. I got you. Okay, so since we're just kind of I like to end my podcast with this question.
Mhm.
What do you love? Okay, when did you first fall in love with your blackness?
Mm. Did I fall in love? When did I first fall in love with? I guess I guess what it really is well, it's a part of my identity, right? So it's a piece
Mm-hmm.
of it goes hand in hand of falling in love with yourself, right? With
Mm-hmm.
figuring out like who you are and what you stand for, and you know what your culture means to you. And I would say that over the past maybe 5 6 years, it has been a journey of me figuring out exactly who I am, exactly what I stand for, what I want to stand for, the exact impact that I want to have in the world. So I would say that it's been a continual process over the past handful of years, and continues today. One of my passions is helping helping Black people, or aiding to the, not really helping, but adding to the experience that
Mhm.
people have. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's over the past handful of years, I guess I'd say.
That's beautiful because I know the one thing that I feel like Black people are actually learning about, that we're learning about ourselves, is that we're not a monolith.
Hmm.
But there's also
Hmm.
very interesting shared experiences that I think as people of color, and that we still get to share. I don't know, universally, or at least within the United States, that I love that we get a chance to experience, especially with things like with TikTok and Instagram. I feel
Hmm.
like it's a lot that we're trying to decolonize. Oh God, I've been saying this word right all week. Decolonize,
Hmm.
decolonize our thoughts, especially our, and even our images of ourselves. So I think that's beautiful that you're, over the last 5 years, you're really just getting in touch with your identity and just letting it be who you are and not what the world thinks it should be.
Yeah, yeah, and I really like what you brought up there, that like Blackness is not a monolith. Like there's room
Mhm.
for that to look different for every single Black person,
Right.
and um, yeah, like whatever you're that's meaning to you, or what you're deriving from it, or what your past experience have been, is something that is completely unique to you.
Well, I feel like that's a great place to end. I could talk to you all day because I like to learn about, like, science. Science has always been one of my favorite subjects. I really wish I would have went more into science, but
Mm.
I'm a talker. God knew what He was doing when He was making me. Well,
Yeah.
is there, just one last thing? Is there anything else you would like to let people know about yourself? Oh, please let them know where they can follow you.
Oh
That's
yeah.
one.
So TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, all my handles are the same. It's BT Star Kid. So follow me on there. And yeah, I mean, the 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 only message that I have for everybody is to, get in touch with yourself and follow whatever the thing is that you're passionate about. Um, just a little bit every day to be able to live that life that's most authentic with you.
It's beautiful. Authenticity, authenticity. Oh, I'm just gonna stop talking because I can't say it. No, it's just joking. Well, thank you so much, so much, so much for being on my show,
Yeah.
and I'm just so thankful to be able to speak with you. And I hope we can speak again, especially when there's some new science stuff. Maybe I can hit you up for more science questions in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love to be back, and thanks for having me. This was a lot of
Of
fun. I love
course.
I love talking too. So
Yeah, yeah. Well,
definitely,
you're well, let me ask one other question. I'm sorry. What's
okay.
your what? I told you I catch you back into it. I do it all the time. What is your sign?
What do you think it is?
Mm, I don't know. I think everybody's an Aquarius.
Do you think I'm an Aquarius?
I get Aquarius vibes, but also not Virgo. But I get Aquarius vibes.
What is the vibe? What's the Aquarius vibe that you're getting?
More just very chill, very laid back. Cause but also kind of, okay, so I'm Aquarius. I'm chill but laid back sometimes, but in my head, I am constantly like trying to like get the little bit of a perfectionist vibe. So I don't know. I feel like I'm off. Am I off then? I'm not.
Yeah, I'm a Sagittarius, but the reason why I asked that,
Hmm.
because I do get that question a lot, and I just like to ask what qualities that like people are reading into and thinking that when they have an idea of what somebody's sign is. But I'm a Sagittarius, December
Oh,
21st, so I was right on the day. It's like the day before the cutoff to Capricorn.
oh, okay, okay. So I'm not even gonna perpetrate. I'm not like huge into it. I'm just now kind of. I'm a little bit of a woo woo child. Like I have crystals. I do tarot cards. And so I didn't get like anytime I see talk to anybody who's like more into like astrological and different things, I'm like, I feel like you gotta be a little woo woo, just a little woo woo in you.
Yeah, I'm not into it at all, but I do actually see that there's a because what every person that I know that's
Uh-huh.
into astrology is really trying to just explore more, like find better ways to understand how our experience is related to the universe at large. And that is
Right.
literally what, if you listen to my message, that's basically exactly what I try to do when I
Hmm.
study astrophysics. So there's a similarity there. I think that the thing is that astrology is far more mainstream than astronomy. So
Right.
it makes perfect sense to me why that's one avenue that people go about trying to understand the
Right.
universe and understand relationships and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think maybe it's like the not to say it's kind of layman. Puts it in layman terms, a little bit more understandable. Because if you don't have that, I feel like if people feel like that they don't have a background in science, they won't get it. But
Yeah,
it's just all about learning just a little bit. Because like I said, I'm not by far an astrophysicist. I am very far down the road. But all of my knowledge comes from the shows that I asked you about. So that's why I was like, I know what he's talking about, black holes and stuff. Hmm.
my
Well,
favorite space documentary ever is the Cosmos series. So Carl Sagan had one a while ago, but I really
mhm.
like the newer one that
What
um,
Neil?
Neil deGrasse Tyson did. Yeah, and
Hmm.
for like I guess anybody that want to learn a little bit more about, say, if you watch that, you'll basically know what we know about the universe. Also, if you follow me, I'll teach you all the new stuff.
Hmm. Everybody, make sure you follow him, and then you can watch Neil deGrasse Tyson stuff. He's cool, but let's support the young king. Well, it was great talking to you. I will loop you into another conversation if I keep talking. So I will let you go so you can enjoy your Sunday. And thank you so much. And as always, everyone, make sure you go follow Cosigns and Tangents and make sure you follow Dakota at DT Star Kid. All right. And again, thank you so much. And as always, have a great day. And thank you for listening to Cosigns and Tangents. Bye bye.